Hey y'all, and welcome back to Love What Must Be Done. Today I am going to bring you part 2 of small space homeschool organization, and I think I could call this smaller space homeschool organization because the last video I did about this a year or two ago was from our house in Texas. And the Texas house had a space to work with that was a lot bigger than what we're working with now. And so I've learned a few things since then and how to pare down a little bit more, how to work with a smaller space, and I still get lots and lots of questions about small space homeschool organization, so I thought it would be a great time to show you all what we're working with now as we're remodeling the farmhouse. If you saw the video I dropped last week, you know that we bought an old farmhouse and that we're remodeling part of it and we're living in part of it. So the part we're living in is pretty small, maybe like 900 square feet, and so we don't have a ton of space to work with. So today I'm gonna take you on a tour of our homeschool room. But first, I wanna give y'all 3 tips that I'm kind of learning along the way that help me to homeschool in a small space with joy. So here we go. Number 1, keep it simple. Do not feel like you've got to get the curriculum with all the bells and whistles, or that you've got to have all the pieces and all the manipulatives and everything in between. I find that if I keep it simple and my husband and I stick to our priorities for our children, then we're much more likely to carry through with everything we've committed to. If it's simple, then all the time I've invested into the research, all the money we've invested into the curriculum choices that we've made, all of the hours of teaching just seems to be full of joy. The kids are more engaged, and we're able to accomplish a lot more in a lot less time. So number 1, I would say keep it simple. Pare down. If you're moving from a bigger space to a smaller space especially, I would recommend pare down. Do you have those things that are just sitting collecting dust on the homeschool shelf? And you keep it because either you feel guilty for getting rid of it, or you think like, I might use it someday. Those are the things that you ditch, whether you sell them, whether you give them, whether you donate them. When you move into a small space, you gotta ditch those. Or if you have a storage unit and you want to save it for later, another time when you maybe have more space, you can do that. But paring down has been invaluable to me. So number 1, make it simple. Number 2, make it accessible. Keep everything in your vision if you can, if that doesn't drive you crazy. For me, to lesson plan ahead of time became very frustrating because if we didn't complete everything on my lesson plan, I felt like we were falling behind. But if I can just keep things in front of my eyes and I have my bookmarks, and I really want to invest in those little book darts, I think that would be really handy for the way that we do our lesson planning. If I keep it in front of me and I can see where we are, I know what's coming next, then we're going to get through it and we see it. And not just accessible for me, but also accessible for the kids. So the younger kids know that while we're doing school, they can go and grab certain things to keep themselves occupied. They can trace their letters. They can play with their little colorful color sorting bears and those sort of things. They know where the stuff is. They know how to access it. And it just makes life so much easier. I'm not digging through piles and piles of stuff before we get started for the day, because by then I have already lost everybody. So make it simple, make it accessible, and my 3rd and final point, make it beautiful. We light a candle, we put on some instrumental music, even though we're living in the unfinished part of the house, we slapped some Walmart paint on the walls, and we decorated with a few things that I dug out of boxes. And being in a space that's beautiful, even if it's small, makes all the difference in the world, because I think that beauty inspires wonder, and wonder promotes learning. So I would just encourage you, whatever your style is, you might look at my room and think, there's nothing special. But it's beautiful to us, to me. And so when I'm inspired, my kids are inspired. We do school right here in this room that I'm sitting in, and it's very bright through the day, and we call it the sunshine room. So even just that, giving our space a sweet name, and I can tell the kids, hey, let's head to the sunshine room, And even just that little act of naming our space something cheery has made such a difference for us, because I'll tell the kids, all right, let's head to the sunshine room. And there's just a shift in our thinking. Instead of saying, let's go to the schoolroom, for us, it helps to have a sweet name, and it begins to turn our minds towards that wonder that's going to promote learning. And I just think beauty is such a great way to do that. So whatever your style is, whatever your budget is, if you can just slap some paint on some old stuff you got, or you can find something secondhand that you find beautiful, and you can find a way to make your space inspiring, that is going to really make a difference for you. I think it has been so great for us. Almost nothing in this room is brand new, but cultivating beauty is such an important part of inspiring a love of life and a love of learning. So without further ado, I'm going to give you the tour. All right, welcome to our space. We're still using the same console cabinet that my husband built from us using plans from annawhite.com. You can find that on that website. We just sort of changed it up a teeny tiny bit. And we're still schooling around the dining room table that he built us years ago. And in this room, this is just all old paneling, guys, just so you can all see. This is an old tile ceiling, old paneling. It's a concrete floor. We have a hand-me-down rug from my grandparents that we laid down, and we just painted everything white with Walmart paint. So little paint goes a long way if you're trying to beautify a space. But let's walk on over here to the homeschool cabinet. Up top here, I still keep pencils, pens, usually markers and crowns and things like that, but we are halfway through the year and I need to restock our supplies. And we still do our calendar time, and it has worked out great being just right here with everything. So the little ones especially like that, and our little songs we sing to go along with it. And then down here, I've changed the way I group our goodies a little bit. A lot of the stuff we do all together, the big kids and the little kids. And so everything in here is stuff that we read together. Because I really appreciate the Charlotte Mason style of homeschooling, a lot of the stuff we do is Charlotte Mason inspired. So it's a lot of reading. And in this basket is everything that we do together. And we do these things first thing out of the gates. So our Bible time, our history, which, oh, you guys, beautiful feet books, check it out. I might do a review of that history curriculum because we are loving it. Our church directory that we pray through, our science that we read through together, our geography, and there's copywork stuff in there. Everything that we do together out of the gates for our morning time is in there. So I just grab this basket and I move it to the table and it sits right beside me and I just go through it. Keeping everything together in one basket has been the most practical thing for me in being able to get through everything and really enjoy getting through everything. It's more of an encouragement to us as we're getting through one subject and looking forward to the next. And so anyway, this has been really, really nice for me, keeping it all together. Side note, we are only about 5 chapters into this Swallows and Amazons by Arthur Ransom. It was written in the 1930s, and if you have boys especially, my son's 7, there's a 7-year-old boy in this story. Oh my, all the imagination, all the adventure. Check this book out. It is so good and so delightful to read aloud. Okay, back to the tour. Over here, I have things that my little kids can use. There is an art binder, notebook, coloring books, just some little things that they know they can access and they can do while we're doing school. They don't have to ask. They can just get up, get these things. As long as they're quiet, it's no problem at all. And a little side note, if you find that your little kids are not being distracted well, another method that I have found works really great for my little ones, my youngest just turned 2, is to just hold her on my lap. She loves when I read her stories. And so if I just hold her, sometimes that's the best way for me to get some uninterrupted reading time with the bigger kids. My 4-year-old son, he loves to trace letters. He wants to feel like he's doing school too. So he also has developed quite a good attention span over the last couple of years. So he's able to sit there pretty quietly. He'll raise his hand sometimes. to want to ask questions. And I always remind him, like, you can ask a question as long as it relates to what we're reading, because a lot of times his questions are pretty off the wall and we can rabbit trail pretty quickly. If you have little kids, you probably are familiar with that. But if he's making connections with things, I am more than happy for him to put his 2 cents in and be able to learn along with the big kids. I think that's only going to help him in the long run. But yeah, just if your kids are having a hard time being distracted by the little cute things that you planned for them to do while you were doing the real work with the big kids, just hold them on your lap. Sometimes that's just all they need is a little mama time. All right, moving on. Over here, we keep our our nature study supplies. So they're little books for their nature study. They're watercolors for nature journaling. And then also on the bottom shelf, right now we don't have, usually I keep just loose paper, but we also ran out of that. And obviously Mama needs to make a trip to Walmart or something. But for now, we're working on just solidifying and memorizing all of our addition and subtraction facts. So I just keep in 2 piles these cards, and my son and my daughter are working through those every day. So one gets one pile one day, and then they switch the next. And that's helping them to get that memory down before we move on to adding and subtracting doubles. And down on the bottom shelf, this basket is pretty exclusively things I like to reference. Like we're doing a different Bible study right now by the same author actually, but sometimes I still like to reference theology because it was so good. And then also every month we learn a new poem, we memorize it. So this month we're not using A Child's Garden of Verses, but like next month we will be. So I just keep that there so it's accessible. It's not getting lost in the bookshelf between the times that I want to use it. I have my notebook there that I kind of keep some notes in, or if I write little stories down for the kids, I keep those in there. And I also have, like, for instance, the Grey Havens. Guys, I love this couple. It's a couple that sings together. Anyway, music that we sometimes listen to during school, things I want to reference or use during school. Here's our language curriculum. We are honestly this is one of those things on my bookshelf right now that has all the parts and pieces, and I appreciate it, and I actually really like it, and it helped my kids learn to read. I don't know if I'll continue using it in the future. It's just a lot of parts, a lot of pieces. If anyone has recommendations for me, while I appreciate this, it was taking us quite a while to work through each lesson. And so I might be on the lookout next year for something different. Right now we're doing a lot of copy work, a lot of reading, and we're still practicing the phonogram sounds, but we're not going through that whole thing right now. Over here we have math. As I said, we're really trying to solidify concepts, so we're still doing pages out of our workbooks for math. And then down here we've got history as well as some science reference books and some geography reference books. We've got our field guide for birds in there. We've got the Burgess Bird book. And then all of our history books, like I said, our history curriculum is awesome. So it's literature based, and it comes with these really great true stories that really give a context to history and put a face to all those names and put a story to all those dates. It has been so exciting even for me. Up here in our drawers, I keep my little things, my chalk for the chalkboard and our numbers, just, little random things that I like to use here. My son also gets into this. You can tell he's used this quite a lot for tracing letters. And sometimes my bigger kids, in this folder I've got a bunch of sight words, so the kids will use that sometimes. And over here we've got just some things. We'll use this for math sometimes, glue sticks. I give this to our youngest on a piece of paper, and that can keep her busy for a really nice long time. Here in this drawer is the drawer that they really know they're not supposed to get into without permission, because this is fun for crafts, but it's not so fun for me to have to clean up. And screens, we really try to keep screens pretty minimal with the kids. So these just stay in this drawer unless they have permission on a special day or something. So down here, below that drawer is the printer, the laminator. We've got the stationery for kids. They have been loving writing letters to their friends back in Texas. Paints, stamps, and that kind of thing. And finally, over here on our little cart, we've got our handicraft. We've been working on embroidery this year. I keep all of my books, and then down here is my stuff, a binder that keeps all of our goals for the year, the books I'm reading, or books I like to go back and reference frequently, like The Life-Giving Home by Sally Clarkson, Grace Lace by Ruth Simons. There are just some books that one time is just not enough to read and absorb all of the goodness that's in there. One thing we've really been trying to inspire in the kiddos this year is just a love of the outdoors. So for Christmas, they all got walking sticks. They got bows with little foam tips on the end. And so we keep all that by this back door so that when they're going out, they can just grab what they want and they can go exploring. And that's it, guys. It's small. There's not a lot to it. We've got the homeschool cabinet and one other little cabinet, and we just make it work. And I gotta say, it's been one of my favorite homeschool years so far. So if you have a small space, don't let that discourage you. I find that we have made some of the best memories in the smallest spaces. Don't be afraid to make your small homeschool space something you love. You don't have to wait for something bigger or better or to have the homeschool room of your dreams. You can just make it simple, make it accessible, and make it beautiful, and learn to love what must be done.